Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Campfire Treasures channel. Please come up close to the fire and get warm. It's a cold night out there. I have another story for you tonight, so please get warm and listen to the story. As I stood beneath the scorching southern sun, gazing out over the rolling hills of Georgia, I couldn't help but feel the weight of history pressing down on my shoulders. The year was 1865, and the Civil War had just come to a bitter and devastating end. I was a young soldier in the Confederate Army, disillusioned and weary from the 4 long years of fighting. Little did I know that the coming days would thrust me into an adventure that would become the stuff of legend: the hunt for lost Confederate gold. My name is William Turner, and I hailed from a small town in Georgia. When the war began, I had been just a teenager, filled with youthful fervor and dreams of glory on the battlefield. But those dreams were soon shattered by the harsh reality of war, the bloodshed, the loss of comrades, and the sheer futility of it all. By the spring of 1865, our once mighty Confederate Army was in tatters, and hope was in short supply. It was during that dark time that I overheard a conversation in the barracks one evening. 2 older soldiers, grizzled and battle-hardened, were whispering to each other about a secret that had been kept closely guarded within Confederate ranks. They spoke of hidden treasure, a cache of Confederate gold that had been spirited away from advancing Union forces, an untraceable fortune that could breathe life back into our shattered dreams. Intrigued and desperate for any glimmer of hope, I approached the 2 men, whose names were Thompson and Matthews. They eyed me warily at first, but after a few moments of conversation, they decided to trust me with their secret. "Boy, you look like you could use a bit of luck," Thompson said. "There's a treasure, a great treasure, buried somewhere not far from here. We've got a map, and we think we're close to finding it. But we need all the help we can get." My heart raced with excitement and trepidation. The prospect of Confederate gold was alluring, but it also felt like something out of a dime store novel. Still, what did I have to lose? So, with a newfound sense of purpose, I joined Thompson and Matthews on their quest. Over the following days, we huddled around a weathered map, under the cover of darkness, plotting our course. The map was said to have been passed down through the ranks, carefully concealed by trusted officers, and eventually coming into Thompson's possession. It indicated that the treasure was hidden in a remote, desolate stretch of woods, far from prying eyes. It was a place we believed the Union soldiers would never have stumbled upon. As we set out on our journey, I couldn't help but wonder about the origins of this gold. The Confederacy was on the brink of collapse, and the Union forces were closing in from all sides. How had this treasure been hidden away, and why had it not been used to aid the Southern cause? These were questions that gnawed at me as we ventured deeper into the wilderness. Our journey was treacherous. The woods were thick with underbrush, and we were constantly on the lookout for Union patrols. We traveled only at night, living off the land and making our way by the light of the stars. Our journey was long and arduous, and it felt as though the very forest itself conspired to keep the treasure hidden from us. Thompson and Matthews were resourceful men, skilled at reading the land and the stars, and their camaraderie was a source of strength for me. They taught me the ways of survival in the wild, and together we faced countless obstacles, from swollen rivers to treacherous terrain. We became a tight-knit trio, bonded by a shared goal and the unspoken understanding that this treasure, if real, could change our lives forever. Weeks turned into months, and we grew increasingly desperate as we followed the trail marked on the map. It led us to the heart of the forest, to a place that felt otherworldly, like something out of a dream. We were surrounded by towering trees, their canopies blocking out the sun, and the silence was broken only by the chirping of crickets and the whisper of the wind through the leaves. It was on a particularly gloomy evening, as a storm brewed on the horizon, that we stumbled upon a peculiar landmark described on the map. A massive, gnarled oak tree with twisted branches that seemed to reach out like skeletal fingers. It stood alone, its roots protruding from the ground like some ancient guardian of the treasure. Thompson approached the tree, a look of both wonder and apprehension in his eyes. "This is it," he whispered, his voice barely audible over the distant rumble of thunder. "This is the spot where the treasure is buried." We set to work, digging with our bare hands, scraping through the moist earth, fueled by a mix of hope and desperation. The rain began to pour, soaking us to the bone, but we didn't care. We were on the verge of uncovering a secret that had been hidden for years. After hours of labor, our shovels hit something hard, and our hearts raced with anticipation. We uncovered a sturdy wooden chest, its surface weathered by time and decay. With trembling hands, we pried it open, revealing a cache of gleaming gold coins and precious jewels that sparkled like stars in the night. We had found it, the lost Confederate gold. It was a sight to behold, a testament to the hope and determination of a fallen cause. Thompson, Matthews, and I stood in awe, unable to fully grasp the magnitude of our discovery. As we examined the treasure, the storm intensified and the wind howled through the trees. It was as if the very heavens themselves were trying to reclaim the lost fortune. Fear gripped us, and we quickly secured the chest and began our journey back to civilization, fearful of being discovered by Union soldiers or other treasure hunters who might have caught wind of our find. Our return journey was fraught with danger, but our determination and the precious cargo we carried fueled us. We navigated back through the treacherous woods, making sure to erase all signs of our passage, and finally reached the safety of a nearby town. There, we took refuge in an abandoned cabin, counting our newfound wealth and planning our next steps. The months that followed were a whirlwind of excitement and paranoia. We were wary of anyone who might discover our secret and sought to maintain a low profile while gradually exchanging the gold for more manageable currency. The treasures we had unearthed allowed us to live comfortably, far from the specter of the war that had once consumed us. Thompson, Matthews, and I became known as the Gold Three among our small circle of trusted associates, and our story became a whispered legend among the locals. But with each passing day, the weight of our secret and the burden of the past grew heavier. The Civil War had left deep scars on our nation, and the lost Confederate gold was a symbol of a bygone era, a reminder of a cause that had ultimately failed. As time went on, I couldn't help but wonder what might have been had we used the treasure for a greater purpose, to rebuild the South, to provide for the families of fallen soldiers, and to help heal the wounds of a divided nation. Thompson and Matthews, for their part, had dreamed of using the treasure to start anew, far from the memories of the war. They had both lost loved ones in the conflict and longed for a fresh start, free from the shadow of the past. We debated our options, but in the end, we decided to keep our find a closely guarded secret, knowing that revealing the treasure could bring unwanted attention and possibly land us in legal trouble. As the years passed, our lives took unexpected turns. We invested some of the gold in a small business, which provided us with a modest income and allowed us to live comfortably. We tried to put the war behind us, but the burden of our secret weighed heavily on our consciences. We were haunted by the question of what to do with the Confederate gold. Was it our responsibility to return it to the people it had been taken from? Should we donate it to a worthy cause, one that could help heal the still raw wounds of our nation? The treasure remained a symbol of the past, and it was a constant reminder of the sacrifices made by those who had fought in the Civil War. Thompson passed away unexpectedly, leaving Matthews and me to grapple with the decision. We both knew it was time to do something about the gold, to find a way to honor the memory of our fallen comrades, and to contribute to a better future for our country. It was a difficult and emotional choice, but we finally agreed to donate the Confederate gold to a foundation that supported the education of underprivileged children in the South. The decision to part with the treasure was a bittersweet one, for it marked the end of an era and the closing of a chapter in our lives. We approached the foundation and made the arrangements for the donation, explaining the origin of the gold and our desire to use it for the betterment of our beloved South. The foundation was overwhelmed by our story and grateful for our contribution, and they promised to use the funds to make a meaningful impact on the lives of countless children. As we watched the gold being loaded onto a wagon for transport, I couldn't help but feel a sense of closure and relief. The lost Confederate gold, which had once symbolized the desperation and hope of a bygone era, was now being channeled into a brighter future. It was a fitting tribute to the sacrifices of those who had fought and died during the Civil War. Matthews and I returned to our modest lives, having fulfilled our commitment to the future of the South. We had given up the treasure, but in doing so, we had found a sense of peace and purpose that had eluded us for years. We knew that the lost Confederate gold, once a symbol of a failed cause, had now become a beacon of hope for generations to come. As the years passed, we continued to support the foundation, watching it grow and touch the lives of countless children. The story of the Gold Three and their selfless act became a local legend, celebrated in the South as a testament to the enduring spirit of its people. We grew older, our hair turned gray, and the memories of the Civil War became distant echoes of the past. The world around us changed, and the South began to rebuild itself, emerging from the shadows of the war. It was a time of transformation and rebirth, as the scars of the conflict slowly faded, and a new era of hope and progress dawned. Matthews and I took pride in the fact that we had played a small part in that transformation, that we had contributed to the healing of our wounded nation. We knew that the lost Confederate gold, once a symbol of a bygone era, had now become a symbol of reconciliation and unity. Matthews and I took pride in the fact that we had played a small part in that transformation, that we had contributed to the healing of our wounded nation. We knew that the lost Confederate gold, once a symbol of a bygone era, had now become a symbol of reconciliation and unity. But as the years rolled on, a nagging thought began to haunt me. The memory of that gnarled oak tree, the one that had served as a guardian to the treasure, lingered in my mind. I couldn't help but wonder if we had uncovered the entirety of the hidden cache. What if the treasure we had donated was just a small portion of what lay buried beneath the tree's twisted roots? The notion gnawed at me, and I couldn't shake the feeling that there might be more to the story. I shared my concerns with Matthews, and he too felt a sense of unease. It was as if the ghost of the Confederate gold still lingered, taunting us with the possibility of greater riches. We decided to return to the old oak tree, the site of our original discovery, to investigate further. The journey back to the remote stretch of woods was filled with trepidation. We had long since destroyed our map to keep it from falling into the wrong hands, and we had to rely on our fading memories to retrace our steps. When we finally reached the gnarled oak, the sight that greeted us was a stark reminder of the passage of time. The tree's branches were even more twisted and gnarled than before, and its roots seemed to have grown even more entangled with the earth. But there was no sign of the chest we had unearthed years ago. We spent days digging and searching, our hands sore and our hopes dwindling. The forest had changed, and the landscape seemed different, as if nature itself conspired to keep the treasure hidden. But just as we were about to give up hope, I struck something hard with my shovel. The excitement surged through us as we unearthed a second chest, larger and more ornate than the one we had previously discovered. It was as if the tree had been guarding this hidden cache, keeping it safe from prying eyes. With trembling hands, we pried open the chest, revealing a wealth of gold, jewels, and historical artifacts that surpassed even our wildest imaginations. It was a breathtaking sight, a treasure trove that seemed endless. We marveled at the beauty of the gems and the intricate craftsmanship of the jewelry. Among the items, we discovered old documents, letters, and diaries that shed light on the history of the treasure and its origins. The newly uncovered documents revealed that the treasure had indeed been intended to aid the Southern cause during the waning days of the Civil War. A group of Confederate officers, driven by desperation and determination, had hidden the gold to keep it out of Union hands, hoping to use it for a secret plan to rekindle the Confederate fight. The plan, however, had never come to fruition, and the treasure had remained buried, a forgotten relic of the past. As we sifted through the historical artifacts, we realized the importance of the treasure to the South's history and heritage. The lost Confederate gold was not just a symbol of wealth, but a testament to the resilience and spirit of a people who had refused to surrender to the weight of history. We decided to carefully preserve the newly discovered treasure, cataloging the historical items, and ensuring that they found their rightful place in museums and archives. The gold and jewels, however, we would donate to the same foundation we had supported before, with the newfound wealth providing even greater opportunities for underprivileged children in the South. The decision to part with the treasure for the second time was easier this time, as we knew that we were not only helping children in need, but also preserving a vital part of Southern history. The lost Confederate gold had become a symbol of the South's endurance and its unwavering commitment to the future. The years that followed were filled with a renewed sense of purpose and a feeling of contentment that we had finally uncovered the entire treasure and fulfilled our responsibilities to the South. We watched as the foundation expanded its reach and continued to make a positive impact on the lives of countless children, fulfilling the dreams of the Gold Three. Our story, once a local legend, now gained national attention, and the lost Confederate gold became a symbol of unity and reconciliation in a nation that had once been torn apart by war. We received recognition and honors for our efforts, but the true reward came from knowing that we had played a part in healing the wounds of the past. Matthews and I lived out our days in contentment, knowing that the lost Confederate gold, which had brought us on a journey of discovery, sacrifice, and redemption, had ultimately found its rightful place in history. And so, the legend of the Gold Three and their quest for the lost Confederate gold endures, not as a tale of riches, but as a story of resilience, sacrifice, and the enduring power of hope. The treasure, once a symbol of a bygone era, now stands as a beacon of unity and the indomitable spirit of a people who refuse to be defined by their history. Thank you everyone for watching. Have a nice day.